What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you, and one that I have been anticipating because I don't think this band has a bad album. I'm going to just lead right in with that, and that is kind of regardless of whether it's their earlier stuff or their later stuff. This band has kind of changed its sound, but it's, remained just exceptionally awesome. We're going to go over the latest offering from Hate, Bellum Regiis. This comes out on the 2nd of May on Metal Blade Records. This band formed in 1991 in Poland. This is their 13th album overall. We actually reviewed their last one, Rugia, however you say that. It was awesome. And I was trying to think when I became a fan of this band. It was either with Solar Flesh or, Awakening of the Liar. It honestly doesn't matter. I think this band is just kind of awesome in general. I can't really think of an album by this band that I don't like. I was even jamming Erebus earlier today too, which, that was a fantastic album as well. And for those that aren't familiar with this band, I would say it's still blackened death metal. Like, blackened death metal is a semi-recent shift. They've been probably doing that style for about 10 years now, but this band started off as just flat out awesome, just death metal. Yeah,
I got into this band with Erebos and just kind of stuck throughout the duration here. And of course, we reviewed the last album, Rugia. I don't know. We reviewed that, and that was fucking sweet. So I was definitely gung-ho for this album, and this came out swinging. I was more than thrilled from the very rip. Opens up with the title track, which has this kind of somber acoustic melody and a very slow atmospheric build to kind of get you pumping. And then, I tell you what, man, blasty and mean and full of syncopation and, man, just well-composed songs throughout the entire duration of this album.
Even though this band is shifted to blackened death metal, I would still say death metal is kind of at their core. Black metal is definitely used as more of an accent, and this band is excellent at riff changes. You can go from these hefty, brutal chugs. There are tons of syncopated chugs on here that make you think of Decapitated or hell, even Fear Factory at certain points. And then amazingly, they will transition into cold tremolo harmonies that are just, again, fiercely blackened, more along the lines of dissection and shit like that. And they do it with such ease too, which drives me nuts. This band is kind of low-key technical. There's a lot of clever riff changes on here, but the main thing is about just packing a punch. And pretty much every track on here does that. Again, that constant kind of swirling riff arrangement thing, and how they break down riffs, I think is kind of low-key one of my favorite things. All the riffs, in terms of their transitions, they're just, kind of broken down, and you can kind of hear the next one welling up behind it. And it doesn't matter in terms of which gear they go towards, whether it is death metal or black metal. You get this grand sense of epicness to it. It's epically evil. And that is brilliantly capped off by Adam, the First Sinner's vocals, who, is the lone original member in this band. And for as much turnover as this band has had, which is, kind of a fair amount, this band remains just consistently heavy, brutal, tight. And again, while their sound has not changed that much, again, regardless of the era, even the earlier death metal stuff had kind of a uniform sound. And this era too, it remains just vibrant and heavy. And man, dude, when these songs hit you, especially in these big groovy moments like Iphigenia, A Ghost of Lost Delight, and Prophet of Arkham, which that song has one of the most disgusting breakdowns on the entire album. It remains interesting. This band doesn't feel like they're kind of rinsing and repeating, even though I would say that this isn't that much different than their last one.
I like how they break up the groovy pockets too. There's not a lot of straightforward groovy pocket here. It's mostly a bunch of start-stop machine gun riffing, and that hits harder than you would believe every single time. Just every time a groove hits, both of us were just oh my god. Ugh.
Stank face. Yep. All over the place. But on the same token, when this band switches gears to their more blackened sound, like the Vanguard, it opens up with this muffled tremolo and symphonic buildup, and then bam, you're into blast beats and just the iciest and coldest of tremolo harmonies. And the same thing with Purin Rising. I'm really not sure how to say that. But that song in particular is probably the most black metal song on here. elements of like Marduk. There's a bit of like second wave worship to it. And to a degree, because, there are some like clever riff changes and stuff that is just a little bit more technical than Marduk, a little bit of like, Necrotic or Melakesh in there too.
Perun Rising is probably the most straightforward track on here. Like, it's definitely black metal. It's for Satan. They conjure Satan well with the Rite of Triglav, which is the interlude track. It builds nicely into Perun Rising. But I mean, yeah, if you didn't know that this band was marching for Satan, you do now.
Rite of Triglav is, all right, it's a transitional track, but it is pretty cool. Like, you get tribal war drums. It feels epic and grand. It's like if Roman Polanski directed Gladiator, like, everyone's entering the, Colosseum. It's Russell Crowe, except he doesn't have my physique now. But, like, the whole Colosseum is just filled with, like, demons drinking blood and shit. And then as soon as Satan walks in, Perun Rising comes in and, like, yeah, that's the appropriate kind of, like, vibe there.
For as dark and as evil and as heavy as this record is, it's also surprisingly pretty melodic, and not necessarily melodic in the sense of, singing songs and choruses and, happy fun time. More like subtle melody and like a ghost of lost delight. Like, there is a cool melodic hook, but underneath it, again, are the darkest, stankiest Fear Factory chugs, and it's not so much pretty, but it is. I don't know, because the production on here is so crisp and clear and just, like, perfect. Definitely perfect for the guitars. Like, guitars in here are nuts.
It isn't as though they're trying to, like, pull back on the brutality and heft of this at any point, but they are kind of seasoning the more chunky, like, gnarly sections, or even like the more blackened sections with really good spots of melody. Whether it's like a big, like, kind of like triumphantly evil sort of melody, or like some really cool lead work that is kind of peppered more in the background, which I thought was kind of interesting because, jamming Erebos today, like, the leads were very out front. Here, they're kind of in the back of the mix, but they contribute more to the atmosphere overall, or just bringing in like some crazy dissonant tags. And something else that showed up on here that I don't think was on any of their albums, I'm not entirely sure. You have haunting female vocals. Now, I forgot the name of the vocalist that did this, but apparently she is very well known in, I would probably assume, Poland, or at least in Europe. And she contributes a lot of these haunting, ghostly vocals. And her parts, again, they kind of sit back with the leads. Like, Adam's vocals are right out in front. It's like Satan roaring in your face, and it's awesome. But I like these haunting passages behind, especially when you get like some of those more like Middle Eastern melodies and, just like the dissonant, twisted harmonies in here. It just adds like a layer of melody that is not intrusive. It doesn't feel like melody is trying to take over any of these songs at any point. It stays just pretty much with its foot on your throat the entire time.
Yeah, the female vocals are really cool in the sense that you can't really actually hear anything that she's saying. It just adds like an additional patch of melody. Like, I couldn't make out what she was saying at any given time, but it was just little moments where you're like, am I hearing? Okay, all right.
It's often just harmonizing with the guitar melodies, which, I mean, she does an amazing job. And again, it kind of gives this like a little bit more of a haunting sort of vibe overall. And as I said, like, this band is like low-key technical. Like, it's not, of course, like arpeggio, wankfest, blah, blah, blah. It's more technical in terms of its riff changes. Like, a lot of this still very comparable to like mid-period Behemoth, Belphegor, and to a degree I would say Decapitated. Like, these guys are a lot of their contemporaries. Granted, Belphegor's from Austria, but I mean, they're practically neighbors. And I'd even throw in Vader too, just because, I mean, riffs. But Alpha and Fairy Goddess of War, there are sections on there where honestly it kind of has that sort of Nile level of epic brutality. Like, drum work on here is absolutely insane. This dude breaks up his beats so well. Like, even the blast beats will have like some fun hitch in them. Great breakdowns. Footwork in here is nuts. Like, he's channeling fucking Pete Sandoval in a lot of this. But the overall performance, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that is very similar to George Callias, especially in the way he accents stuff. And Alpha and Fairy Goddess of War, especially meshed up with some more like technical riffing on there. Like, it's just like a little bit more intricate. And that song in particular has a lot of crazy riff changes on it. It just kind of has like a more Nile-ish vibe. And I gotta say, like, overall, the thing that I love about this band is the blackened death metal thing is often homogenized, but you get breaks in the songs where you can clearly hear them switch gears. Like it can go from, again, brutal chugging to, again, these like cold, icy tremolos. And again, it's like uniformly evil, but there's like a brutal heft to that death metal section. And then again, like that just crisp, like you have to hold out your hand like this when you hear the riff because you feel like you're clutching someone's heart in your hand after you pulled it out of their chest. Yeah, I watched Temple of Doom when I was a kid and it fucked me up. But, dude, that's that sort of vibe. And again, what also is uniform on here is the fact that this has, again, a lot of catchy melodies, but it's subtle. It's kind of buried in like all of the brutality, especially with Adam right out in front, like just roaring his guts out. But yeah, like in terms of like any negatives on here, again, this band is grossly consistent, and I throw that in with their like stylistic change too. Like this is definitely more blackened, but honestly, this feels a little bit more brutal and in your face than Rugia. Like Rugia had a ton of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it was still damn heavy because that's what this band fucking does. But I feel like this one, there's a little bit of a pullback on the black metal, and a lot of that death metal intensity comes through.
Yeah, this record is a big punch in your face. Any way you look at it, I like the fact that there's a good separation with this band, but yeah, it seems like this is more intense and more of a punch in the face and more of a brutal punch in the face. Like, all right, we can do black metal here, but we're gonna play a little bit of death metal, and that seems to overtake a majority of this album, which I have zero complaints about.
Yeah, I feel like this one kind of lays on the machine gun riffing on here.
Does it?
And breakdowns, like syncopated, chunky breakdowns. They're on like almost every track except for Baron Rising, which again, that was kind of like the sole, like more black metal track. But yeah, overall, I got to give this a strong 4. Like it's bordering on that 4.5. Even the interlude, I think, does set up Baron Rising really well. This thing is just riff central, and my God, man, when this gets brutal, like it is like just it's punishing.
You can't help but just to go.
Every riff, every machine gun chug on here is like just brick to the face sort of heaviness. The production here, clear, crisp, exactly what it needs for how dense it is. Guitars, my God, they sound great. And this has that like epic charm to it. Like it feels grandiose, but it never feels cheesy or anything like that. Like I get cheesy, when it happens in, Behemoth and shit. Like, yeah, like sometimes like, okay, that was just kind of goofy. I don't get that vibe with this band. They feel like they are just locked on their sound and they just want to deliver a flat out brutal but epic album.
Yes.
And once again, we got one. And I have to say, Poland seems to have this month kind of on lockdown because we have Behemoth next week and then a Vader EP towards the end of the month. So, yeah, we just need a Decapitated album next. That'd be cool. But, yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. If you're a longtime fan of Hate, you're going to love this. And, again, if you're a fan of Belphegor and Behemoth, especially that mid-period Behemoth, like we're talking like the Apostasy and, Demigod and stuff like that. And definitely some Vader and Decapitated, too. Check this album out.
I have to fully agree here. Again, I knew what I was getting into with this album, but yeah, it is a very strong 4. It is bordering on a 4.5. I could justify a 4.5, but I'm going to give it 4 for now. I'm going to give this record a couple more spins. That being said, though, there's nothing on here that I didn't like. There's not a single thing on this record that doesn't hit hard as fuck. I mean, we're talking about like a Bas Rutten liver punch. Like, it's over. Well-composed songs. They flow very naturally, considering all the riff changes that are going on in there and all the like syncopation changes and the off-time stutters. It's just, this record is full of brutality and brilliance. Not just straight blast beats either, and I like that too, especially when they get blackened. It's never just a straight blast beat. It's lots of start-stop grooves, lots of wonderful accents. The drum work on here is superb. Great use of atmosphere. I didn't feel like they were overdoing anything at any given time. It just added a little bit more dark and a little bit more evil to a band that is already well prone to being dark and evil.
Yeah, not a lot of like overuse of anything.
No.
Like, everything kind of comes at the right fucking spot. Like, yeah, you're getting a little too blackened, right into a chuggy breakdown.
Right. And that being said, the songs don't ever really run into each other. Like, there's enough from track to track to track to bring something a little bit different to the table every time. And that being said, nothing ever loses momentum. Like, it just keeps going. Like the Energizer Bunny, except if he was wearing corpse paint and his mallets were made of fire. But yeah, there was not a single moment on this record that I didn't fully enjoy. If you've been a longtime fan of Hate, you're still really gonna fucking like Hate. Also, bands like Behemoth, I will agree, the mid-period, the Apostasy especially, Decapitated, Fear Factory, Nile, things like that. If you love all of that, mostly, again, if you just love Hate, you're still gonna love the shit out of this record. I highly recommend it.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They are only 99 cents, and our lone perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will be doing one probably after we get back from MDF, where we're like just probably going to be still sore, tired,
sunburnt.
We might not even have voices at that point because we've been screaming our guts out.
Dude, last year I didn't. Last year I got off the plane. Hey.
Yeah, you sound like a wheezing old man. Which, yes, I know, he is old.
That's fair.
Anyway, memberships are the main way to support the channel now. We also still have our store, thrallsmetal.com, with our hats and shirts. That is linked down below. And if you would like to become a member, there's a join button down there. And you should hit it for the glory of Satan or something.
And if you don't push it, that's cool too. We won't fret. We're just happy you're here. Thank you for being a part of Thralls of Metal. All you guys bring to the table seems like more than what we bring to the table. We're just reviewers, but you guys come and hang out and comment and do all the wonderful things you do, and we appreciate you. Tons of stuff coming your way. Album reviews, discography rankings. We got At the Gates coming up next. A new segment that we're about to reveal that comes kind of in conjunction with the discography rankings. You'll see it's pretty cool. We did one the other day. It'll be up soon. Discussion forums, States of Metal, is it metal, is it not metal, Nick's never-ending collection updates, member streams, non-members live streams. I mean, they're both going to be dumb, all right? But I think that's what you guys are here for at this point. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Just thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, you guys absolutely roll. Tons of content coming your way, so one more big thank you because you guys are awesome, and we will catch you later.